Tiffany and Tyrone podcast. We've been sitting here for a while, staring at the microphone, wondering what to say first because this is our first podcast. We've been laughing the entire week and having lots of fun as we've done many sessions of rehearsals and preparations and all the things that we want to talk about. And
There's a
then,
lot.
yeah,
There's a lot to talk about.
we've figured out that we have at least 3 years of talk for you.
At least.
At least.
Yep. So combine Tyron and myself, uh, 45 years of living with a narcissist. So we've got a lot of experiences to share, and
Mhm.
it's gonna be really interesting. And I know a lot of people are going to be able to relate with a lot of it because these people seem to be consistent. What do we say that consistently inconsistent?
Yes. I prefer to say persistently
Mm,
inconsistent.
hmm.
Hmm.
Well, that's a good one.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Uh,
Yeah, they'll drive you
good.
crazy.
Yep. Yes, yes, they will.
But here's the beauty of what we'll be discussing with you. You'll learn as we go along that we've found a way to laugh at our past.
Yep. That I think there's so much healing in just being able to laugh about it. That's we discovered that in our friendship. We never thought, yeah, we never thought we would laugh that much at our pain.
Absolutely. And the good thing about laughing about it, what we learned is that it made it nothing. One of the things that made me feel so empty and hurt and pained all the time was being stuck in the moments of indecision. Should I leave or should I stay?
Mm,
You're treating me really badly right now, so I should leave. Then
mm,
they seem to realize that you're pulling away and then they hoover you back in, as they say. If they
mm-hmm,
do something to suck you back in, remind you of some sort of commitment that you have,
mm-hmm.
whether it's you were married or you have kids or you have some financial obligation that you're sharing. They guilt tripped you and you head on back in because they promised that it's going to be so much better and they're going to do
Uh,
everything to fight for this relationship. If you've ever heard those words before, but the words and actions don't match, yeah, you probably need to spend a bit of time listening to our podcast because we're going to talk you through this. We're going to show you what you've been missing and to help you to recognize that you're not going crazy.
yeah, yeah. I think hearing from real people, not that other people aren't real people, but we've been through a long, long time. So I've been through three of them. One, my longest, was my ex-husband, and that was for 15 years. And yeah, I think I'm gonna start talking about that one because that's the first one. So when you say you were always indecisive of if you should stay or you should leave. See, my situation, he had isolated me. We met in a city in Canada, and a year after we met, we were in a totally different country. So he had also convinced me to stop talking to all of my family, which in the long run was actually a good thing, but that's another story altogether. Um, yeah, I had no job there. I had no money for myself. He completely isolated me from everybody. I had nobody, not one person, not one dime to my name. So I didn't have that option to stay or leave. I was staying. I had no other choice. I had nowhere else to go.
Or you felt like you had a
Well,
choice.
that's
Could leave.
I did eventually. I'm still I used to be surprised at it, but now I realize exactly what his thought process was, and it makes a lot more sense. How I was actually able to leave. We will get into that in a different episode because this is basically our introduction.
Yes. Yeah, we want you to get comfortable with us. Um, yeah, we want you to feel like if you do know us, and most importantly, we want you to begin to know yourself because that's how we got out of it.
Yeah, it's been quite the journey so far.
Yeah, self-discovery.
Yep.
Yeah.
I
So let's talk a bit more about that though. Let's try to figure out a couple things, which we did figure out that we did have discussions with. We've had some counseling over the years, and we've been through some stuff.
Oh yeah.
But just a little, but let's talk a little bit more about that because you're talking about how you kind of met and you moved to another country and you felt isolated.
Mm-hmm.
But here's an interesting thing. Everyone would say, "Oh, 15 years well, how'd you even get there in the first place?" You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
what kind of person makes that kind of choice?
Um, so what kind of person? Somebody with bad parents, to be quite frank, actually. Father was never around, never knew him. My mother was, I wouldn't, she was absent. She was there physically, but mentally she was not there. So basically I was neglected my whole life. And one phrase she would say very often, with me and my sister growing up, was all men are scum. So I grew up hearing all men are scum. And also her history with men wasn't the greatest. And I realized since that she was extremely codependent. And so yeah, that's what I learned from. So basically I was primed to be abused. I had no direction, no soundboard, no mentorship, no nothing. So I was just uh yeah, I was the perfect supply.
Hmm. So when you were a kid, let's talk about this a little bit more. Did you feel like, when you were at school, that you were maybe academically, not on par with everyone else?
Uh yes, there was this well, high school in particular. There was a room called the Learning Center in my high school, which the kids in the school referred it to a different name, which I won't.
No, no, just out of curiosity. Just, what did they call it?
They called it the retard room. That's where I spent a lot of my high school days. After I got out of socials and science after grade 9, because I just wasn't getting it. And actually, backtrack before that, French was a requirement in middle school, and I somehow got out of that in grade 7, so I didn't have to take French anymore, which I didn't mind because my teacher was a total bitch. Um, so yeah, I did not do well in school at all. C minus. I think the teachers felt bad for me, so I actually didn't have to be on the credit system like everyone else. I didn't have to
You
have.
got a special treatment. That's what I'm hearing you say.
You could say I was very special. Yeah.
Yes, that's very interesting. But here's the thing I want to highlight. Knowing your story myself and kind of working through this process as friends. I've discovered that there's absolutely nothing that we can say, is wrong with you, as people would say. There's no deficiencies, no deficiencies. Um,
I was told very different things.
Very interesting.
So
So you weren't doing things that the other regular kids would do, as they would say, regular people.
yeah,
You were different. What
yeah.
do you think caused that?
Trauma.
Trauma.
Yes.
So you experienced some childhood trauma.
Oh, absolutely, yes.
Mm,
I am no stranger to abuse. I've been living in abuse literally since I was 2 years old.
That's pretty tough, isn't it, to recall and to
Yeah,
recount these moments now?
yeah, it's all I've ever known. So yeah, and that's the thing. When you're so used to it, it becomes normal. And then you get into these relationships as an adult, not realizing that your normal is abuse. Yeah, that was a tough one.
Did anyone believe you as a child that you were being abused, or did they just seem to think that you were just a slow learner and that's the reason why? Did anyone ever like try to go a little deeper to figure out, why does she behave this way?
No, people have to give a shit for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, no, no. No, nobody, no, none of the teachers questioned anything. I was just, learning disabled kid. No, hence the retard room.
Mm,
So, uh, yeah, when I was 12 years old, I had told my friend in school about the abuse that was happening, and because I wouldn't tell an adult, but she told her mother, and the next day I thought nothing of it at the time because again abuse had become so normal, but something inside of me knew that it was wrong somehow, even though it was not totally weird for it to happen. But yeah, I come home from school the next day with social workers in the house, and people are asking, what happened, and my memory is pretty hazy on a lot of the details, but I remember um talking to a social worker and her asking me the same question I probably like 100 times. I don't even know if I'm exaggerating or not, 'cause it felt like a lot. And I got frustrated with the same question over and over again, so I walked out of the room. And then after that, I think everybody thought that I was lying. So
how old were you then?
12. So yeah, nothing ever happened after that, and nobody ever listened, and the social workers didn't do anything. My mother did nothing. My aunt did nothing. Basically, nobody did anything. So yeah, nobody believed me. Yeah, I think that was another what's the word that I used? Um when you're trained to be abused.
Primed.
Primed, yes. Yes. That was a big yeah.
So I'm hearing you say that you had not only someone who was abusing you, but you also had the environment that supported the abuse.
Absolutely.
Was there any religion involved in your childhood?
It's funny you ask that. Enough. Yes, yes, there was a certain religion that is some people call it a cult, which I
Hmm?
don't disagree with. Uh
Yeah, you
yeah,
can feel free. This is podcast, so we get to say stuff. Uh,
it's
yeah.
completely open and honest. Yeah, yeah, Jehovah's Witnesses. I was raised as a Jehovah's Witness.
So you didn't get to have birthdays and
No, no birthdays, no Christmas, no Halloween,
no fun.
no, basically, yeah. Yeah. I think anniversaries could be celebrated, but I was a kid, so I didn't give a shit about that.
Anniversaries, what's that? You mean
Uh,
like if you're married?
yeah, yeah.
If you're a kid, you're not married.
I know. That was the only thing that I remember you could celebrate is anniversaries.
Okay.
And yeah, no alcohol, of course.
Well,
Um, they didn't even do did they do, I don't know, maybe they did the wine and the Jesus flesh thing. I don't remember.
oh, you mean that thing called communion?
I don't
The
know.
Jesus flesh thing. Oh, this is getting really hot and interested in here now. Oh, sorry, religious people. No disrespect. Um,
This is my experience, so
some experiences here, so and this is the reality of a lot of what we'll be discussing. There'll be some touchy points, and there'll be some areas where people will feel a little uncomfortable because they may identify, with a particular religion or experience. And we encourage you to make lots of comments on our, various social media platforms, but keep it positive because it's going to get, seriously funny
oh,
around here.
oh.
Seriously funny. So I want to talk a bit about that myself. So growing up as a kid, well, that's how you grow.
Yeah, it starts
It
with
usually starts like that.
toddler and
Yeah.
then yeah, okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I guess if we're gonna try to look at it in terms like how do the genders kind of get affected by stuff because my mother was also very neglectful.
Hmm.
I was literally like completely ignored, like 100%
Yeah,
by my mother.
yeah. Was it just that? Was it complete neglect, or was it more than that?
Well, let's see. You know when you like try to decorate something, so maybe you like have this nice big blank white canvas, or let's say you bake a cake, for example, and you put this nice white icing on the cake,
Hmm.
and then you throw some sprinkles,
Ooh, multicolored.
multicolored
Ooh,
sprinkles,
yeah,
so you never
rainbow.
know which sprinkle is going to land in which spot.
Uh-huh.
Right. So that's the kind of relationship I had with my mother. In general, right? It was a disgusting tasting icing, so it wasn't sweet.
So was she the icing?
Whatever she did, I'll call it the icing. And then the sprinkles were the other behaviors that would somehow fall into place every now and again. So in general, the white icing was being ignored.
Oh.
And then I'll call it a red sprinkle. That's when she will barge into the room and shout at me, "What are you doing in here?" And I'm a little kid. I'm like 7 years old with a coloring book and a few pencil crayons. I love to color. And this person is shouting at me because they don't trust me.
Well, a 7-year-old.
Yes, that's my early recollections of how my mother treated me. She constantly
Mm.
shouted at me. She was always mean. Um, yeah, I remember, she was a housewife. My dad
Mm.
worked, she was at home, and every day she had these basic routines. On mornings, she always swept the house. She
Mm.
started cooking lunch around a certain time. I was a kid, I didn't know time to be honest with you. I was also a really smart, slow learner. Okay, so we'll get into that a bit more as we go on and you get to know us. But yeah, I couldn't tell time, so I don't know what time of day it was. All I knew was that there's a certain time every day that she did very specific things. Swept the house, started making lunch. If I came around the kitchen, I'd be shouted at. Leave,
Mm.
don't come here. I don't want you having anything. You can't beg for anything. Meals were controlled. Like I'm talking about prison style control. And here's the dilemma that I'm with. So between 7 and 9 years old, my dad, who's a great farmer, great, gardening and stuff. We had this huge backyard. It's full of all kind of plants and we grew all kind of like cash crops as they would say. And
Hmm.
we would sell this stuff in the neighborhood. Everybody knew that my dad was great at this stuff. We had food and we couldn't touch it because when my
Hmm.
dad was out to work, my mother would not let you eat anything. Absolutely crazy controlling.
Wow.
Yeah, that's how I grew up, and and that's the good parts. Yeah, like there was the constant lashing, for lashes, beating, whatever you want to
So
call it, flogging.
for ooh, so uh, for a lot of our listeners, I think that they won't know what lashing,
Yeah, I know. That's why I said the word flogging.
and then that has a very
That's a
different.
very oh, what does it mean? What does it mean if you're white? Sorry, white people.
Yeah, not flogging.
Is it like a sexual connotation to these things?
Absolutely.
Oh my gosh. No, that's
Um,
rip pain.
um,
Okay, that's the word you would say here.
yeah, or as Chris Rock would say, ass whooping.
Absolutely. Lots of those. And all you had to do was literally have a look. Yeah, black people make jokes about this all the time.
Ooh, yeah.
They do. And yeah, it's not funny when it's happening to you, but we can laugh about it afterwards because it's so painful and that's the only way you can cope with it. And that was a significant part of my life, living in fear
Hmm.
of pain and not knowing what it is that you're going to do to make a person upset. That was enough to make a
Hmm.
person like me, who I believe is brilliantly intelligent.
Yeah, yeah, right.
You get what I'm saying, right? You got to think good about yourself nowadays, eh? But yeah, I like literally my entire childhood, I lived in
Hmm.
fear,
Wow.
constant fear, constant dread. I learned to watch the expressions of my mother to determine whether or not I was going to have a good day, a bad day. No, a good day was when she left me alone, when I was completely neglected.
Hmm.
A bad day was when she paid me attention. Those are the sprinkles. See,
Yeah.
remember the icing is the neglect. When she's not saying anything to me, like
Hmm.
it's so plain, like nothing is happening. It's a boring,
Got
situation. The sprinkles are when she's coming to get you, and you just don't know what it's gonna be.
it.
I remember one day in particular, she brought home a treat. She'd gone into the city and she went shopping and she actually brought me a treat.
A treat,
A treat.
not a tree. A
No,
tree. With a
sorry for the accent, but yeah, a treat.
treat. Treat.
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely, a treat. And the way how she presented it to me, it was the most ridiculous thing now as an adult when I think back to it. But to tell you how impactful it was. So imagine there you are, well, there I am, coloring book as usual or drawing something, and she comes home from, you know, grocery shopping or whatever she does, and she has this thing for me. You know what she says to me? What most nice people say.
uh,
Hello, Tyrone.
yes, I
Did you
got you.
have a good day? Yeah,
How was your day?
yes.
How was school? Typical things for parents to ask.
Yeah, yeah. And
Um,
they'll give you something nice. Oh, come here. What were you doing while I was gone? Sit down. Here you go. Do you like it?
whoa.
Yeah. That's the kind of conversation,
Mm.
instruction, manipulation. I don't know what to call it, man, but
Uh,
that's how I was raised. No,
mm.
here's the thing. My dad was awesome. Awesome guy.
Hmm.
No ass whoopings. Never one time. Always talked to me. Reasoned with me. I could express myself freely.
Well, yeah, it's yeah. To have one good parent at least is yeah, that's huge.
But
I
yet still,
yeah,
you're
and
living in fear. It's total confusion for me. How is it that one
Hmm.
parent is so awesome and the other one is so awful?
Oh,
And then
yeah.
and then you get this codependent child who grows into a codependent man who's brilliant like his dad, but lives in fear of a narcissistic partner. And that's kind of my story in a nutshell.
Well, we both have some very interesting stories.
Yes.
Backgrounds, completely different backgrounds. Um, I'm white, as y'all can see from my picture. Tyrone here is his name is Tyrone, so you can make a guess.
Are you being stereotypical
Yeah.
here? I just happen to know some white Tyrons, like two.
Do you actually?
Yeah, but I know a lot of black Tyrons. It's just
Oh,
coincidence.
actually, do you really know a white
No,
Tyrone?
I don't. I'm
See,
just
this
biased.
is not, nobody, it's not a thing.
Well, you know what?
Nobody
You drop a comment. You let me know if you're white and your name is Tyrone.
Yes, we would love to hear from you.
So yeah, that's kind of our backgrounds. That's where we started.
And that's a very, very small fraction. That was just.
Absolutely. You're gonna hear a lot more about us. You're gonna hear a lot more about what we experience.
Hmm.
Let's see. Well, what's this episode really about other than introducing ourselves?
Um, Abuse. I think that's a trauma.
Yeah.
Um,
How to get out.
yeah, that's gonna come a lot. Well,
Mhm.
whenever we feel like, really.
Well, it'll be interspersed, as they would say. We have a couple of series that we're going to produce for you. One that we're working on right now is called Letters from a Narcissist.
Oh, that's gonna be a good one. I can't wait for that one.
Yeah, this one is going to be real. We're going to probably have to say to you, you may want to like listen to us on whatever platform you feel is your, preference. But that one you may want to get a little YouTube for because we're going to share the actual
Well,
visual real letters
yep.
from a narcissist. So you can see for yourself the real experiences and you'll be able to appreciate whatever it is you're going through or potentially saving yourself from going through this. If you're planning to date someone or if you're currently in a relationship or, just even at work or friend or whatever you think you're in, we want to share this stuff with you because here's how you get caught. I call them micro experiences. They're so tiny, you
Hmm.
don't realize what's happening to you because of your childhood priming and programming.
Hmm.
Like these actions, these behaviors, just like they don't compute. It's like dog hearing and human hearing. Like if you blow that whistle at a certain frequency, the dog goes crazy and you're there like I didn't hear anything.
Wow, that's a really good analogy.
That's exactly what it's like when you are primed, to be codependent, when you've been abused as a child.
Our brains are fine tuned,
Yes.
but we're fine tuned for the abuse, but we don't recognize it because it's normal. The micro experiences
Yes.
are all normal because that's what we've lived our whole lives.
And you know what's even more profound that we discovered? The environment. Environment is so important. When everyone around you says, but that's just how it is. Well, I don't know what you're complaining about. I wish someone would do those things for me. And you're like, you want someone to abuse you? Oh, do you call that abuse? That's not abuse.
You seem so great together. Thought you were such a good couple.
Precisely.
What's going on?
He always says great things about you
Yeah, she always says wonderful things about you.
when I'm not around.
Yes. I'm actually looking back. No, I don't remember any times there were good positive things said about me to other people with me present.
Absolutely. And that's a tell.
Hmm.
In the beginning, oh,
Oh, well, I think we should do that the next episode, the
absolutely.
beginning.
The very beginning.
Oh, wow, that's
Yep.
gonna be a good one.
So I hope you guys have enjoyed our introduction. I hope you've enjoyed us having a great chat with you today. I really hope that you're looking forward to the next one as much as we are. And we're new to this, but we're excited to share our lives with you.
Yep.
We want you to be better persons because we've become better persons because of this.
Yep.
And we're gonna have some serious fun
Oh yeah.
as we take you out of your trauma and help you to overcome, all your childhood abuses and work your way through it. And you know where you're gonna be? You.
Mm-hmm.
A you that loves you, because that's what we are now. We
Mm-hmm.
totally enjoy being ourselves
Absolutely.
and yeah, creating new lives and
Mm-hmm.
discovering, that there is other environments out there that you can create for yourself. That's how they get out there. You have to make them. They don't exist otherwise. If someone else is making it for you.
And nobody teaches you this shit.
Absolutely not.
Nobody teaches you.
Yeah, they
You
say
can
that
create your
it's just
environment.
like that, and you can't do anything about it. It's
It's
just like
just the way
that.
it is.
Yeah, and like, oh, spoiler alert for next time when we're talking about love bombing.
Oh.
I can still remember the first time. Oh, you talked about religion. Oof.
Oh, yes, you've
Yeah,
got a
yeah, a
lot of.
lot of religious trauma here.
Yeah, I've got lots more to share about that too.
Our first after honeymoon, which was awful. Meeting with the pastor and me having the nerve to complain or to say like I'm concerned about certain behaviors already and being
Mm.
told no, 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 here's a book on love languages, here's a book on communication.
Oh, was it a communication issue?
That's
What
what they
was?
all say. That's what I discovered. So if you're going to the wrong therapist,
Oh man.
okay, because when you're listening to this podcast, you're going to think to yourself, I think I'm experiencing this and I think I need a therapist. Yeah, you make sure you find someone who has the appropriate training and understanding, who can navigate this, you know, this channel, this section of your life. There's rocks, there's all kind of obstacles and all kind of thing that they need to guide and pilot you through in order for you to come out whole on the other side. If you pick the wrong person,
Oh.
oh, you are gonna be completely wrecked.
Yeah. Actually, the wrong counselor can do a lot more damage
Yep,
than if you don't go at all. So
absolutely.
do a lot of research and make sure that they have experience in narcissism, NDP, um,
Yep,
because it is really, really important that they understand these people
yep,
because they're so good. They're so good at convincing people with all their charm and all their
yep.
uh,
Grandiose lifestyles.
charisma.
Yep,
And
very charismatic.
yep. So beware, and we will get into that, of course, in another episode. But for now, I think we're going to leave it off of that for number one.
Absolutely.
This has been,
It's been
as
lots of
always,
fun.
it's always, yeah, it's always a blast.
We're gonna see you on episode 2. We release episodes every Sunday minimum. Every now and again, we may drop one in between. So what we'll say to you is go ahead and subscribe so you'll never miss what's going on. We're going to be on multiple platforms, so you make your choice of it, however you want to listen to us, however you want to watch us.
Yep,
But yeah, we'll make sure we put the links in all the different platforms so they know how to find all of us and all the other stuff that you do for a podcast that we have to learn how to do because we never done this before. We're doing it
yep.
anyway.
All right.